This is the top 10 weirdest airsoft replicas. We're gonna take a look at some of the most weird and obscure airsoft replicas ever made. But first, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. It has been statistically proven that interacting with the channel makes everyone have a better day. The Flag 10 is the obscure airsoft replica that inspired me to make this entire video. I ran into one of these things at my local field and I was blown away.
10 at a time? Okay, wait.
I can get you right here. Maybe later.
Oh, it's like a shotgun.
The Flag 10 is an absurdly overpowered airsoft shotgun that is banned literally everywhere for good reason. This is a gas-powered shotgun that shoots 10 BBs per trigger pull. You could adjust the FPS on it too, so you could theoretically shoot someone with like 10 400 FPS BBs at once. I don't know who thought any of that was necessary. It doesn't do any of that weird fake shell crap either. This thing is loaded straight from a regular mid cap. The way that it actually does the 10 shots that was explained to me is that it rams 10 BBs into the chamber, then fires them all at once. It's pretty interesting in how it functions, but I think we can all understand why most fields took one look at this thing and banned it on sight. But I will give it some respect because it is the only airsoft shotgun that I think actually earns that title of shotgun. This thing has some major drama behind it too. Basically, the company went out of business trying to make this thing. This replica became instantly popular when it released for pre-order, which I don't understand because it was being sold for $600. The company that created this thing called Airsoft Innovations never had the systems in place to actually produce this thing on the scale that it was demanded, and they basically were using the money that people were pre-ordering it with to fund the making of the actual product. And that process was unsustainable and it resulted in a lot of delays and a lot of people never actually getting their replica. Only so many of these things exist out in the wild, and for some reason 5 of them are at my field. And I'll tell you what, playing against these things is terrifying. The CB88 Chrono Blaster, also known as the Halo Assault Rifle. You give me one of these, we're not playing airsoft. I'm defending Reach from the Covenant. Internally, this thing is not all that special. It's really just an AEG. However, externally is where it really shines. Obviously, it looks like the Halo AR. It has green lights. It has a legit working ammo counter that counts down as you shoot and tells you when you run out. This is one of the most unique things I've ever seen an airsoft gun have. It has an inbuilt flashlight like the video game one as well. It's really cool, but it's also super rare. E-Bike made it available for pre-order back in 2014 for like $400. Their goal was to make a straight up replica of the video game one, but they failed to actually get the license to the Halo AR from Microsoft. So they made this thing, which from a distance looks like the Halo AR, but when you're up close, there are some key differences. E-Bike still tried to sell this clone, but Microsoft did not let that shit slide, and their legal team got in contact. E-Bike was straight up not allowed to directly sell this thing, but they did make a couple of them, and the way that they got them out on the market is through the box of awesomeness. You had like a 1 in 60 chance of actually getting the Chrono Blaster. Shout out to this guy on this random forum for detailing all this lore, because there is no way I would have been able to find all this by myself. The Murushian Automag is just one of those badass replicas. If a normal M4 AEG is a common drop, then the Murushian Automag is an exotic drop. It's a gas blowback replica of a 44 Automag, also known as Dirty Harry's gun. It was made by the legendary airsoft company Murushian. I am definitely going to get comments about my pronunciation of that. For the little information I was able to find about this thing online, it came in a couple variants, a black polymer version and a silver version. You already know which one I'd pick. Beyond being a beautiful replica, it does something very different, or at least something different for us here in the United States, and that is the fact that it shoots 8mm BBs instead of the regular 6mm. I don't think any field would let you use this in a regular game because of that fact. Even if you could use this thing, there's a bunch of reasons why you shouldn't. Despite it shooting the bigger BBs, it actually isn't all that fun to play with because it's underpowered and unreliable. It's also rare. Only so many of these things were made, so it's a collector's item. It's not worth playing with this thing. But if I ever got my hands on a Murushian Automag, you already know I'd make a freaking Dirty Harry gameplay video. The FMG9 is a replica that you can still get relatively easily. You can buy this thing right now for $630 on e-bike if you wanted to. The FMG is basically a pistol chassis. It takes a Glock 18C upper and turns it into the FMG. So what makes this thing so weird? It freaking folds. Yeah, the entire airsoft gun can be folded inwards into a small box. This thing folded is legit smaller than a book. What lets this thing get so small is the grip folds inwards with the mag in it. You could put a long boy Glock mag in this and still fold it to be compact. It's even more compact than just a normal Glock, and especially a Glock with a long boy in it.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
The real FMG is made by KelTec, and it does the same thing, but it doesn't do it very well. The real version never left the prototype phase, but the mad lads at KelTec were like, this would be perfect for airsoft, and granted it is. If this thing looks familiar, it's because it was goated in Modern Warfare 3. The dual-wield FMG9 was iconic back in the day. Its popularity in MW3 is honestly probably why it saw so much success in the airsoft marketplace. The Western Arms AR7 is a piece of airsoft history, to put it mildly. It's a replica of the Armalite AR7, which itself is an obscure gun. AR7 is a survivalist gun designed in the 1950s and used by the military to equip pilots with a survival weapon. The real thing is still somehow in use with the military today, which I can't believe. What makes this replica unique is not the functionality of it, but the history that it represents. It's not a very good airsoft gun. It doesn't even have a hop-up, because hop-up was not invented when this thing came out. Did I mention it came out in 1985? This airsoft replica was Western Arms' first attempt at producing a product for airsoft. Yeah, you know Western Arms, the now legendary Japanese airsoft company? This was one of their first products. It uses gas, by the way, R134A gas, which I've never heard of before researching this video. Comrade Quiche, who has helped me out immensely with the making of this video, and a guy who owns exclusively sick airsoft guns, HPA tapped his AR7 in order to use it. I told you guys, people will literally HPA tap anything. I will say though, it was definitely necessary here. This thing uses single stack, technically mid caps that hold 15 BBs each. Yeah, this would not be fun to play with whatsoever. But I find it so intriguing because it's literally an airsoft gun from a different era. The HFC Flintlock is another replica on this list that you can still get relatively easily. You can get it on eBike right now for 180 bucks. It's a replica of a pirate flintlock from the 18th century, which is definitely different. Someone at HFC was sitting in a pitch meeting for the next airsoft product and really suggested, let's make a flintlock. I do respect the presentation of this thing. It's got these intricate designs on it that make it pop, and it even comes with a little leather gunpowder bag that holds BBs. It's a cool little novelty thing. The actual replica is a gas-powered single-shot pistol. You put a CO2 cartridge in the grip and load BBs in this compartment under the barrel. It works just like a real flintlock in its operation, minus the gunpowder. It shoots a whopping 500 FPS, which is crazy. I'm not actually trying to kill these scallywags. This is definitely one of those airsoft guns that you buy just so you can put on your wall. I can't imagine playing with this thing being all that fun. The M88 Maverick is another piece of airsoft history. This is a spring-powered quad-shot airsoft shotgun, but it does the multi-shot differently than normal airsoft shotguns. It has 4 individual barrels that each fire a BB. The way that it does this is quite interesting. You load BBs into the carrying handle at the top, and it's gravity fed into the airsoft replica. It has 1 spring despite it having 4 chambers, and when you cock the M88, it loads all 4 of them. This design is actually superior to the regular spring shotgun design because instead of launching all the BBs in a row out the barrel, making the spread crazy, it fires it in a queue. Also, since each BB is being launched individually, they're not losing power. By the way, this superior design is from 1993. This model of airsoft gun was among the first that KHC ever produced, and obviously they're not produced anymore. The M88 Maverick is actually based on the Mossberg Model 500 bull pump, which is literally just a bull pump kit for the Mossberg 500. This gun was marketed to police and military, but it never got very popular. But its design is straight from the 80s, and I personally love it. And just because it wasn't popular in the real world doesn't mean it wasn't popular in movies. This thing was in freaking RoboCop and Predator, both being used by police. The M88 Maverick has some interesting lore as well. Back when airsoft first started in Japan, the newly introduced full auto guns were wrecking everyone, and there was no way for someone with a basic Springer to fight something like the new at the time Ashi M60 machine gun. Then here comes the M88 with its quad shot capability to hard counter the new full auto airsoft guns. It was also cheap, coming in at around 150 bucks when it was available, so it balanced airsoft out in Japan. It's funny because we kind of see the same parallels today with speed softers and their lasers being hard countered by something like the Flak 10. The MGL grenade launcher. I had to include at least one grenade launcher launcher on this list because the entire subcategory of grenade launchers is different. However, most grenade launchers are pretty lame because they look cool but suck when shot. The MGL is the exception though, because while it doesn't actually launch shells, it still looks sick when firing. It's basically a super shotgun that fires 96 round shells. It has a 6-round chamber, so this thing could hold like 600 BBs. It fires 96 BBs at once, so it would absolutely suck to be shot by this thing at close range. Because of that, you can't really use this thing at any field. I put this thing on this list specifically because I got the chance to hold one of these things in person and actually feel the quality of this thing. I even had the chance to buy it. The store was selling it for about 170 bucks, but I decided against it because the shells individually are like 30 bucks each. So to keep this thing loaded, it would cost me like $120 on top of the 170 that I was already spending for the MGL. And it wouldn't be worth it to drop so much money on something that you can't even really use. The Maxtech Derringer needs no introduction. This is definitely a weird airsoft gun. The Maxtech Derringer is a replica of the iconic Western pocket gun. It's a full metal 2-shot gas-powered pistol. You load a BB in each barrel and you shoot it. That's about all it does. It shoots at about 200 FPS. Guys, let me be honest. This has to be the single most useless airsoft gun. If someone points this at me in an airsoft game, I'd laugh at them. Not only does it have 2 shots, but it's stupid inaccurate. The BBs go in 2 different directions. However, if I had one of these things, I'd run it like freaking Dr. King Schultz in Django and pull it out on speed softers when they weren't expecting it. Also, it's probably the most affordable weird gun on this list. The Maxtech Derringer is only $70, but again, it's a collector's piece. I will say though, it does have pretty good build quality for what it is. The Toytech Calico M100 is a unicorn replica of a unicorn gun. The real world Calico is like an inverse PP Bison. It's a submachine gun from the 80s that has a 100-round helical mag on top. The real Calico was never very popular outside of movies and very few were made. It's now a mythical firearm for collectors. The Airsoft Calico is much the same. The Toytech Calico is a gas-powered, top-loaded, full auto replica. It fires in semi, 3-round bursts, and full auto at a stunning 250 FPS. It has no hop-up like the AR7 because it came out in 1988, but it does have a crazy 1500-round mag on top. I am a massive Bison fan, and this Toytech Calico speaks to me in much the same way that the Bison does. Of course, the legend himself, Comrade Quiche, has 2 of these freaking things, and yes, they're both HPA tapped. I think this shorty Calico with the suppressor on it is definitely the most gorgeous replica he has, in my opinion. The Toytech Calico has some cool lore as well. In the 1980s, the main replicas you'd see in the Japanese airsoft space were M16 type rifles made primarily by the industry giant at the time, MGC. Well, here comes Toytech, a new company in the airsoft space, and drops the Calico M100, a replica of a gun that no one ever heard of in Japan at that time, which somehow then instantly becomes a hit, making Toytech a major competitor to MGC. It was a major topic at that time in airsoft, but the whole competition ended in 1991 when Tokyo Marine dropped their first electric airsoft gun and put an end to the whole gas airsoft era in Japan at that time. However, now we're left with one uniquely gorgeous airsoft gun. That's basically it, guys. I want to say thank you to everyone who helped me with this video, especially Comrade Quiche, who helped me out immensely with this video by providing footage and knowledge about these replicas. This dude is legit one of the most knowledgeable people in the airsoft space, and not only that, but he owns like 5 of each one of these super rare replicas. Check out his YouTube channel. I'll link it down below, as well as his other socials. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments if you could choose one of these replicas to have. Which one would it be? For me, it would definitely be the Calico M100, especially the one that Comrade Quiche has with the suppressor on it. Other than that, have a good day and go to the gym.